So once again, we get a very heavy political episode of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. And as a political junkie, I love this type of stuff. I love it in reality, love it in my media. But when it comes to media, you have to do it a lot more interesting than just looking at general politics and reality for me, because it influences me or other people, which are real. Here, you have to really hook, line, and sinker someone to be like, okay, all this political talk, backstabbing, manipulating the message that's going to be spread across the kingdom. You really have to make that interesting, and the biggest way to do that, great personalities across the board that are interacting with one another, and two, have something that seems very complex but easy enough to follow so you don't need 30 minutes of just dry-ass dialogue saying, first we will do this message, and then we will attack this person, you know? We've seen so many times political anime go exactly like that, and you just don't give a shit. Here, I would be shocked if most people didn't like it, because all the characters, from the cute to the funny to the just, honestly, intimidating presence. I mean, when you have a Dwarven king who's pretty much saying, so, you're gonna talk like that, huh? So why do you want to be king? Do you really think you can be king when you're looking at a king myself? Like, I love that type of stuff, and it's really interesting because there's so many different styles at play, even though characters are sitting around the same location for 30 minutes. Quite 30 minutes, because like 24 minutes and 22 minutes of it is an actual episode, but you get my point. We had a situation start up where we have literally one of the more powerful characters in the show pretty much immediately saying like, okay, everything's going to go bad, you're going to be destroyed, and rather than really committing to that message, nope, she's talking smack about Veldora. Veldora is seemingly reading serious to Jaeger, and just, you know, she's saying, oh, I talk some smack to that character. He's nothing. The dragon's nothing. And when you realize that person's right in front of you, she pretty much got petrified like Medusa was in front of her. I love how this is a show that you never really know when a character freaks out, if that's going to be the actual big thing of the episode. Like last week, it ends on that cliffhanger. Oh my god, are they actually in danger? And they just brush it aside. They're like, we don't have time for this. We're trying to, like, establish diplomatic relations. We already have 2 pretty good alliances, but the third one is still up in the air. And I like how it's not just simply, oh, bless Rimuru-sama, everyone's just going to say, he's a great-looking slime. He has a great nation. He's powerful. We're going to follow him. There's a lot of powerful people in this world. What makes Rimuru the character to follow? And I like how someone actually called it out. Even if they weren't necessarily going to commit to it, it's more of a, you know, it's a skeptical thing. He's paranoid because this might not be the play. If you're backing someone like Rimuru, who's not only going to basically put someone as king, establish all these new diplomatic relations, go after Clayman, Western Holy Church, like there's a lot of different shit that getting involved with Rimuru will then throw at you. But you have to weigh it. 1, do you like Rimuru as a person and do you value what they can offer you? But 2, do you believe they will beat them? Because honestly, that's the biggest question. If Rimuru looks to be the one who's going to lose, most people would probably not want to back. Maybe they wouldn't want to betray, but they might say, we're going to be a bystander. And I like how, even though you knew it was going to end peacefully, at least I thought it was, there was like one moment where it kind of looked like, oh man, you know, Papa Deer's over here, it looks like he's about to say, you know, you trust so easily, and I'm a traitor, I got all this information. But no, they quickly were like, no, I'm just a cautious bastard, let's see where this goes. It's so interesting because there's a pretty big story that needs to be set in motion in order for the world to even consider accepting Rimuru. Someone like becoming Demon Lord, killing 20,000 and more, it's something that naturally people aren't going to want to follow a monster. But if you skew the message as like, you know, Veldora was on a rampage, you know, all the sacrifices then ended up being a way to calm Veldora, and then Veldora joined his side. That's how Rimuru became the Demon Lord. The message seems a lot more easy to swallow. You're probably still going to be cautious, but it's not the same as just saying, oh, we sent an army at a nation of monsters, and within a second, that army was pretty much destroyed by a giant annihilation. I like how they're definitely covering their tracks. The end of the episode, we get some Clayman situations, and, you know, obviously he's thinking certain characters are dead because of what happened in part 1, and just, I'm loving how Clayman, even though it seems like he's controlling so much, the fact that a little jester can say, hey, you know, make sure you're not fully trusting Millen, because she's someone who can't really be controlled, and is this even your actual opinion, or are you being influenced? I thought that man was going to lose his head right then and there, but Clayman bit his tongue, and when he was gone, completely snapped, as if he's like, how dare someone insist that I could be controlled. And honestly, wouldn't doubt it if there's someone, pulling the strings upon Clayman, because seriously, this is looking rather interesting. Like, I'm not saying Clayman's not powerful, but it seems like there's going to be more to that plotline than meets the eye, and I think Millen's been one of the more interesting turn of events, because Millen and Rimuru seem to have such a great relationship. What's going on? Why is she doing this? And the fact that characters are actively on Clayman's side saying you can't trust Millen means that there's probably a good chance that Millen will be coming back to Rimuru's side before this war is over, though I wouldn't doubt it if Millen versus Rimuru is a thing before that happens. I think that time I got reincarnated as slime is one of the rare cases where you can have a single location be just as exhilarating as many isekais that have to bounce around multiple, from taverns to just the general marketplace, adventuring, killing slimes, things like that. Here, we can have characters sitting in what looks to be like a gazebo, and they're just discussing military plans. And because you have one of the most powerful characters in the series casually reading manga as then he scares the living life out of another very powerful character in the series who is just talking shit about said dragon, to the number of different characters who can just say things in such a way that, in most circumstances, in most settings, would probably cause you to get your ass beat, like a princess calling out her father, who is very high up in the chain of command here, and she's pretty much just saying, like, Dad, stop being an idiot, in just more polite speak, but as characters surrounding her being like, you can't say that, princess, like, that is your father, that is, it's kind of insane, and I love that. The show is so interesting with how all the different connections are being woven, and I definitely think you can look at a lot in Season 1 and say that maybe things happen a little too easy for Rimuru, but definitely considering when you look at Part 1 of Season 2, without a doubt intentional, because it makes you drop your guard, everything will work out for Rimuru, Rimuru will never suffer. Part 2 comes in, Rimuru's blissful ignorance of everyone likes Rimuru-sama ends up killing so many people and forces him to change his opinions. And I know so many people were worried with people being revived, Rimuru becoming Demon Lord. It feels like, oh, most likely in most series standards, he's not going to change. He's not going to learn. Now that he's more powerful, he's just going to go back to wanting to have peaceful days. And his main goal is to have peaceful days. He wants to create a world where everyone can be happy and live in peace. That is generally what could be conceived as a cliche. But here, it's not, because Rimuru is very different. He understands that playtime's over. He knows he has to smack some living shit, if not kill Clayman for everything that he's done. But most importantly, he has to cover his tracks. This isn't Rimuru who's just saying, hey, I'm Rimuru-sama, everyone's gonna love me because I'm the best looking Demon Lord. No, naturally fear him, especially given how he became Demon Lord. So you have to craft a message. The message may be a lie, but still, from even back in Season 1 when Yon was like going across the country taking credit for the Orc Lord, he already had that type of mentality in him, but he didn't take it to the full extent that he needed to. And now you can say this is a slime that is not taking chances and is covering every single track. I mean, if this was like the intro of Season 1, this entire meeting would have happened. Everyone would have just shook hands, said, whatever you say, Rimuru, we're gonna do what you say. No, they've had to have multiple episodes establishing these relationships and really covering their tracks, because what they're about to do will change the course of their entire world, and I love that about this show. This was an exhilarating episode just as much as any action that we've seen. When you get Rimuru Demon Lord presence to just the numerous funny sequences, this is a great episode, and I'm so excited for more. Things are heating up, and I'm very excited to see where they're going to take it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.